So much. Moving on from our Lagos Network studio, we're still on CMI. This beautiful morning on ITV. I am Marcelina Unko. I am not alone. I have Patricia Gabriel. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mercy. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TMI and on Lagos studio. I'm Patricia Uremu Gabriel.
All right. And also, we're talking about the ASU strike today. And our guest here in the studio is Barrister Jide Ologun, a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst. Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be with you.
And thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
And also via Zoom this morning, we have the ASU Vice President, Dr. Austin Sado. Hello, good morning, Dr. Austin Sado, if you can hear me.
I'm glad to be with you this morning.
All right, thank you so much for joining. Okay, we'll quickly start. Let's take a quick look at the history of the strike by the academic staff of Staff Union of University ASU from the early 2002 dates and what really caused them. The story of ASU strike is quite simple, a long struggle between the union and the federal government over funding, welfare and respect of signed agreements. In 2021, ASU began a 3-month strike over poor funding, condition of service, and non-implementation of early agreements. It was even eventually resolved after a series of meetings and government promises to improve funding for public universities. By 2002 into 2003, the union was back on strike, this time demanding better funding, genuine university autonomy, and enforcement of agreements reached the previous year. The strike lasted several months before the government's intervention led to its suspension. Then came 2007, another nationwide shutdown that lasted about 3 months, with lecturers demanding improved salary structure and the reinstatement of dismissed colleagues. The strike was called off after the government agreed to review their demands. The most significant turning points came into 2009. That year's strike lasted roughly 4 months and ended with the signing of what is now known as the 2009 Federal Government ASU Agreement. It was covered issues of university and academic allowances and general conditions for services. Patricia, let's see what you've got.
Oh yes. In summary, the ASU strike pattern has followed the same cycle of over 2 decades. Agreements are signed, implementations falls short, and the union returns to strike action. The core issues remain university funding, lecturer welfare, the respect of agreements. Until these are fully addressed, the nation's public universities may continue to experience this endless loop of disruption. Oh, thank God we have the ASU Vice Chairman on board to be talking to us about all this, and we have the barrister here also who will be looking at the legal aspect of these strikes.
Okay, the government said something yesterday about no pay, no work, no pay. It's like a threat to the ASU, So I'm going to be talking to the ASU Vice President, Dr. Austin Sado, if you can hear me. Let's talk about what is your view on the federal government no work, no pay policies. Do you think it's fair or punitive? If you can hear me, Dr. Austin.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you very much. I think it's absolutely punitive.
Okay.
And it's happening because government wants to ensure that no matter how unresponsive it is to the yearnings of the people, nobody says anything. Otherwise, you can't beat a child and ask that child not to cry. And so, if we didn't embark on this 2-week warning strike, we will not be talking about government trying to engage and negotiate, because we have concluded this negotiation since December last year and handed in a document to them. So what stopped government from engaging and concluding and signing agreement and implement. So why did it take another warning strike before even Nigerians are talking about it? And because I heard even one of your commentators saying we should go and talk to the people of Nigeria. The issues of funding or underfunding in Nigerian university is not strange, it's not new. As old as almost this nation, or at least since the 80s, we've been talking about it.
Okay.
Who are the beneficiaries of funding of the universities? Nigerian citizens who are poor. Their children are the ones who go to these universities. It's not the rich. So if their children are in school and they understand that we are having challenges with these children, with saying in school, why are they not taking it up? Why do I need to go door to door to people to say, look, your children can't be in school because we are not well paid? So government is simply wielding the big stick because he wants to bully the people. He wants to stop the people from making legitimate demand of government.
Okay.
And I don't think that should be acceptable in a civil society.
All right,
If you're
Doctor.
asking why, if you are saying you will not pay because people are on strike, you ask why are they on strike?
Okay.
And in another case, we are not daily paid workers. So why are you calibrating our payment by number of days worked? So it clearly shows that government is just wielding unnecessary force, trying to intimidate and to make it almost absolutely impossible to engage in any fruitful negotiation. Because in a situation where you go to the negotiating table believing that you are more powerful than the other partner, you don't have a win-win situation.
All right.
You want a win-win approach to a negotiation.
Okay,
that will
Doctor.
be beneficial not just to us as individuals, but to our economy and
Okay,
our university
Dr.
system.
Austin Sado, if you can hear me, we would get back to you. Let's get to hear Barrister Jide's take. Patricia.
Right, Barrister Jide, thank you for joining us this morning. So we're going to be looking at this ASU strike from the legal perception. Okay, so my question is, what are the legal remedies available to either the federal government or ASU when dialogue fails? That's one of the questions. And then, do you think these frequent court orders against ASU strikes are justified or a violation of their constitutional rights?
Thank you very much. Let me start from the last major industrial action by ASU when Honorable Ngige was the Minister of Labor. What he did then was to go to the National Industrial Court to interpret Section 43 of the Trade Disputes Act 2004. That is where you have the provision of no work, no pay.
Okay.
And by the way, the doctrine of no work, no pay is global. So I just wonder why we still have it if the lawmakers have gone to Section 17 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended to see what is there, because it states clearly that the state policy, of relationship, social order, will be on the scale of freedom, equality, and justice. And within the same Section 17, it says that adequate livelihood should be provided for all citizens, and it covers welfare in employment, and on, and our viewers can check that later. In fact, if you go back to Section 16 subsection 2,
Okay.
it makes reference to this issue of minimum wage. It says that reasonable living minimum wage should be provided. You see, so when you have all this, you now lift it up to the position of International Labour Organization that also, endorses collective bargaining, and you are expected on the scale of fairness to respect the resolutions of collective bargaining. And one of the issues here is that there was an agreement in 2009 and which has not been fully implemented, and there had been several committees thereafter.
Okay.
The most recent one was that led by Yayale Ahmed, and even though he submitted the report, the government pretended as if They've not seen any report. And when there was a meeting recently, I understand the government presented a different draft entirely.
Okay, so Barrister Dijde, sorry for cutting you short. Do you think this administration has prioritized education enough in its budget and policy so far?
Absolutely no. If that is the case, we won't be discussing what we are discussing now. And how we come to that is a matter of prioritization. Talking about politicking,
Okay.
when the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was campaigning towards his victory as our president in Yobe Street, and it's documented, he specifically assured that ASU strike will be gone.
Okay.
You see, so but here we are again, still with ASU strike.
I want to ask the ASU vice chairperson, Doctor. So, according to people, could you say ASU's grievance have been addressed through attribution or legal mechanism instead of prolonged strikes? If you can hear me, sir.
That's yeah, I can hear you, but it's neither here nor there. When you talk about political or talk about legal, are you talking about justice? Because you could have legal, you could have political, but without fairness, without justice. So I think what is expected is to have equity. And to have that justice, we need to have a negotiation. That negotiation must be done on the basis of equal partnership. So we are having a negotiation with government, and the government must never think of us as servants, but must think of us as partners. So when we come to that negotiating table, we have agreement. Compromises will be reached. And once those compromises are reached, we must insist that the terms of those documents must be implemented. The problem here is that government believes that we are servants, and as servants we should not be heard, and that if we dare say something is wrong, we have challenged the authority of the government. No, that's not the case. We are simply making a case for ourselves and for the education sector that is pivotal to the development of any nation. In that case, you are not going to be talking about legal, because a matter that has commenced in the public domain in the last 13 years, and we're talking about justice. What are we still talking about? So government has to just realize the fact that we are co-partners, and as co-partners, we must come together to agree on what is just and implementable, and keep faith with the terms of those agreements. If we have any problem with any term of agreement at any point, get back your partners to the negotiating table and say, look, we have a problem or we have a challenge with this.
I have a follow-up question, if you don't mind.
Way to go about it.
Doctor, if you don't mind, sorry, I'm going to cut you short there because there's a quick follow-up program before Messelina comes on board. I know she's shaking to talk to you. Okay, ASU strike has become a regular part of our education system. From your own view, do you think, or your perspective, do you think we keep ending up here? Or do you think this can solve the problem if we keep going on strikes? Because these strikes, even in my university days, had always been there. Do you think strike will end the problem?
Strike is usually disruptive. We don't want it. But there is a cost to a strike. So if you want to deal with strike is a mere symptom. If you want to deal with the cause of strike, deal with the issues that are leading to the strike. Fund education, pay lecturers living wage, and there will be no strike. And I tell you, if we had not embarked on strike in the last 20 years, by the policies of government, tertiary education, particularly University of Education, would have been gone in the last 20 years.
Okay.
So Nigerians should actually be grateful that at some point we are standing up to say, look, fund these things so that we can have a place for our children to go to school.
All right, Dr. Austin Sado, thank you for that. We've always known that for a way for Nigerians, or a way for we to speak our minds to the government is to either go on strike or come out and protest and all of that. As to consider alternative means of protest or negotiation other than shutting down university, has there been any alternative, alternative means other than shutting down universities? Dr. Austin Sado, if you can hear me.
So if you want to talk about alternative, we have done almost everything that you can think of. The senior citizens of this country have been reached out to, traditional rulers, religious leaders, civil society organizations. We have done all that. So anytime we embark on strike, it is simply because government wouldn't listen, and government believes that its policies, whether they are good or bad, nobody should say anything about it. And we are simply saying, look, we have a challenge on our hands. If we need to develop this country, we must prioritize education. And if you're going to prioritize education, the teachers must be taken care of. And we're not asking for too much. How do you imagine that a professor in Nigerian university goes home with 400,000 naira? And you are making an increment and you are adding 100,000 naira to that.
Okay.
So we are still bound within that circle of poverty and slavery.
All right, Dr. Austin, let's quickly get your take on that, Barrister Jide.
I just want to advise the government of Nigeria that value should be placed on education.
Yeah.
And let me say, if you talk about Luxembourg, you talk about Germany, you talk about China, these are the highest paying countries, when you talk of taking care of lecturers. In fact, in China, the minimum wage for lecturers is between $2,000 and $4,500 per month, depending on the skills you are bringing on board. And let's talk about prioritization.
Okay.
In this country, 21 billion naira was spent on the vice president's official residence.
Renovation.
330 billion naira were shared reportedly to the vulnerables recently. About 39 billion naira was spent on renovating the International Conference Center in Abuja, now Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu Conference Center. About 57.6 billion naira got expended on SUVs for House of Reps member. And I did a research. In the first 9 months of 2024 thereabout, Nigerians have spent about $1.8 billion US dollars in foreign education. We are talking of public tertiary institutions now. So for quite a number of the leaders, their children can either attend private schools in Nigeria or go abroad. And so where is the spirit of the constitution that is talking about equality, equity, and justice? Recently, reportedly so, 239 first class lecturers left Unilag for greener pastures. You see, so where are we heading? Where are we heading? And in the same country that the lecturer, as we have just heard, earns about 500,000 naira per month, a senator, reportedly also earns about 21 million naira per month. I think we need to know the value of education. Education is made up of 9 letters, and I will use those letters as acronym. The E stands for empowerment. Sheikh Zayed, the founding father of the modern UAE, placed emphasis on developing the people. So, and if you look at countries that have developed, they've done that by developing their people. Then the D stands for development, the U for understanding.
Okay.
If we have an educated citizenry, we will have less to handle in terms of insecurity.
Exactly.
That is the absolute truth.
Exactly.
You can check global indices. Then the C stands for character. Character. And the A stands for achievements. Look at countries. I've mentioned Luxembourg, I've mentioned Germany, I've mentioned China. Go and check those countries. Taiwan, Norway, where education is given its pride of place. They are well ahead of us, advanced.
Okay.
Then you talk of transformation for for the T, then inspiration for the I. It should be easy to carry the citizens along easily. Then you talk of opportunities, and finally, you can push new frontiers.
All right. Thank
in
you.
The world. You read about China now. You hear about, you know, the longest bridge across the ocean. Great and mighty achievements. You see, so if education is valued by the government of Nigeria, in the right investment will be channeled into it, but I doubt if it is.
All right, thank you for that. Let's quickly go back to the Vice President Asu. This question is for you, if you can hear me, Dr. Austin Sado. All right, you can hear me. Let's talk about the real victims here, which is the students. What impact do this reoccurring strike have on academic this time?
Well, we are both victims. Both lecturers and students are victims.
Okay.
And there's a third set of victims we have not considered.
Okay.
Our own children, who do not even have opportunity of going to the public schools where we teach. And because we don't have money, we can't feed them at home.
Okay.
Barrister, let me go to you while we're waiting for the network to come back. If you were to advise the federal government, what would be your advice?
My advice is to invest in the people. Let me use my family as an example. And
Okay.
I tell people, my parents emphasized education. This is a man who had 10 children. Only one did not graduate from the university by choice. And I can let you know clearly, we have never had to fight over property or anything. You know what I mean? So, I'm here today having this dialogue because of education. And some of these are leaders. They even enjoy scholarships and things like that. The institutions they send their children to abroad, if those lecturers are constantly on strike, what happens? And I'm worried. We are talking of the education sector now. What about the health sector? A country that my former president went to die in a London hospital. I mean, we should be bothered. And now we are talking about insecurity.
Yeah.
In fact, some young ones now are saying education is scam.
Yeah.
Because we have not inspired them to be educated. And some of them will constitute threat to national peace. I've said it. How much has the government spent this year in this country? How much is ASU asking for? You see, so we need to really if you want to destroy that sector, come out openly and let us know you want to destroy it. What is the school fees in private universities? How many? And we are fueling corruption, I must say. Because imagine a professor who earns about 500,000 naira per month and has 4 children, I mean on the average, who must be educated, and he must fuel his vehicle at about 860 naira per liter. Perhaps he's on band A when it comes to energy. How will this lecturer cope? And that's why we have the issue of brain drain. Many of them have left the shores of this country and are doing very well over there. You see, so like I keep saying, the National Assembly owes us a huge responsibility in terms of making relevant laws and carrying out their oversight functions. We have said it over and over. What about if there is a law in this country that, okay, as an elected personality or political appointee, your children cannot go to schools abroad. They cannot even attend private schools. They must attend public schools, and no medical tourism. Then maybe we begin to move in that direction. I think the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, tried it at a time. He withdrew his son back from the public school.
We just saw it in the pictures and the videos. Do you think that really happened? But anyways, Barrister, finally, do you think we will ever see a lasting solution to these ASU strike issues, or is this just part of the system now? Because it's becoming to look as if it's a part of the system.
The Chinese have a maxim. The best time to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. So if you are thinking about sustainable development and righteous legacy, Why don't you put an end to it? The total indebtedness of Nigeria is in the threshold of about 241 trillion naira. It was around 12.12 trillion naira in March 2015. So what have we done with that money that we cannot take good care of our tertiary, public tertiary institutions? That is a huge question. And like I keep saying, and let me roll out this warning, those who really need this education, right now we call them Gen Z, the alphas, also, they are becoming restive globally. You saw what happened in Nepal. They even, apart from attacking the government, they also went after the Nepo kid. The Nepo kid are the children of the wealthy and powerful
I saw that
who
trend.
live in flamboyance. And it's the same thing we are repeating here. Let me ask a simple question. So, you invite a senator to a social gathering, and he comes with 4 SUVs, 7 mobile policemen, and you invite a professor to the same social gathering. What comparison are you making? And that's why, like I said, many young ones are no longer interested in education. Right now, they are looking for fast money and things like that.
Make money.
What image are we presenting to the future of this nation?
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Jide. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, we actually lost contact with the ASU Vice President because of network. Thank you so much anyways for joining us, Dr. Austin Sado. Thank you so much. And also Barrister Jide, thank you so much for joining us. All right, this is all we've got for you from Lagos Network Studio today on CMI. Thank you so much for staying.